Pull your car out of the garage. Everything left behind is costing you more than the car ever did. Not because any one thing in there was expensive, because nobody has ever actually added it up. And once you do, it's ugly. I'm Joe, and I'm about to walk you through exactly what's rotting behind that door. And by the end, you're going to wish you hadn't asked. Picture the door grinding up. Concrete floor stained with old oil, one bare bulb doing nothing to help, cobwebs in the corners nobody's bothered to knock down, and stuff stacked against both walls, not organized, just dumped, the way it always ends up. You're already picturing your own garage instead of a stranger's, and that's not an accident. This exact layout exists in millions of houses, in every neighborhood in the country, behind an identical beige door. So instead of just pointing at junk, I'm going to show you exactly why it's there, item by item, because every single item in this room fits into one of 3 predictable traps your brain fell for. And once you see it, you can't unsee it in your own garage. The first trap is the January trap. Nobody buys a treadmill because they want a treadmill. They buy the identity of becoming someone who works out. And that identity lasted about 2 weeks. What's left is folded against the wall, dust caked so thick on the display you couldn't read it if you tried. A decent treadmill runs $600 to $1,500. Used 8 or 9 times ever? That's roughly $150 a workout. Worse than a gym membership, except the gym doesn't sit in your garage, staring at you every time you grab your keys. And the treadmill isn't even the most expensive thing in this room. That's over there. The second trap is the hobby trap, buying the gear instead of just having the experience. The bike hanging on a hook, tires flat, chain rusted solid, bought the week you decided this was finally the summer you'd bike to work. The golf clubs standing at attention in a bag that still has the price tag hanging off it. The camping gear, a tent, sleeping bags, and a cooler the size of a chest freezer from one trip, maybe 2 or 3 summers ago. Here's the math nobody runs in the moment. A decent bike runs $300 to $800. Ride it 6 times total, and you've paid $50 to $130 a ride for something you could have rented for $20 the 2 or 3 days a year you'd actually use it. A full weekend of camping gear, a tent, bags, and cooler, rents from an outfitter like REI for around $80 to $120. Buying it all new can run $600 or more just to start. Unless you're doing the activity constantly, every one of these purchases was a bet that one great weekend would become a whole lifestyle. Most of the time, the bet loses. The experience already happened. It already gave you everything it was going to give you. Then the gear just sat there, rotting quietly in the corner, waiting for a sequel nobody's writing. At least the treadmill and the bike got touched a few times. This next trap doesn't even have that excuse. The third trap is the just-in-case trap, and it's the ugliest one because it never feels like spending money. It's the second fridge humming in the corner, holding 2-year-old soda, and in the freezer, a bag of meat with frost so thick it looks fossilized, buried under ice like it's been there since the last ice age. Quietly adding $10 to $20 to your electric bill every single month for cold storage you touch 6 times a year. It's the snowblower that started twice in 5 years, kept alive for a storm that hasn't shown up yet, rusting a little more with every winter it doesn't. It's the pressure washer still sealed in the box, bought because it would pay for itself over renting, except even people who actually use theirs only pull it out a handful of times a year, and a rental runs $40 to $70 a day. At that rate, it takes years just to break even, and this one hasn't even been opened. None of this was bought to get used. It was bought as insurance against a maybe. And most insurance at least covers something real.
The fridge is the only one actively draining your wallet every month, just for existing. The snowblower and the pressure washer don't cost extra to store, but the money you already spent on them is dead, locked up, waiting for a snowstorm or a dirty driveway that might not show up for years. There's a fourth force keeping every one of these traps alive, and it's not about the object at all. It's why you keep something you've already admitted, quietly, that you'll probably never touch again. Psychologists call it the sunk cost fallacy. You spent $800 on that bike, so selling it now for $200 feels like losing $600. But that $600 was already gone the day the bike stopped moving. Selling it doesn't create the loss, it just admits to one that already happened. Keeping it doesn't get the money back, it just piles clutter and a monthly reminder on top of a loss you've already eaten. The only real choice left is whether you keep paying rent on that remainder forever or you finally shut the door on it. Stop for a second. Don't just keep listening. What's the single most expensive thing sitting in your garage right now that you haven't touched in over a year? Actually picture it. Got it? Good. Hold on to that number because you're about to find out exactly what it's really costing you, and it's worse than you think. Here's where this stops being a tour of someone's junk and starts actually hitting your bank account. Add up a garage like this one: treadmill, bike, golf clubs, camping gear, a second fridge, a snowblower, a pressure washer, and boxes of who knows what, and you land somewhere around $6,000 worth of stuff. Most of it was touched once or twice total since the day it was bought. $6,000 doesn't sound like a disaster. That's exactly why nobody ever does anything about it. It doesn't feel like money, it feels like clutter. It stays a forgettable little number right up until you let compound interest do the math for you. Here's the number that should actually gut you, the one most garage junk videos never bother to run. That same $6,000 invested in a basic index fund instead of rotting in that garage, earning a historically average 8% a year, isn't $6,000 in 30 years. It's over $60,000. Read that again, out loud if you need to. That's not an exaggeration. That's just what compound growth does to money that's actually allowed to work instead of sitting under a tarp, decaying next to a lawnmower nobody started since last spring. The stuff in your garage right now isn't $6,000 of dead weight. It's a full $60,000 retirement contribution that already happened and already died, quietly behind a door that goes up and down every single day without you ever actually looking at what's stacked against the walls. Put that in perspective. $60,000 is close to a full year of college tuition and living costs at plenty of public universities. It's a real down payment on a house in a lot of markets. It's most of a decade of maxed-out Roth IRA contributions. It's more than the average American is saved for retirement by age 40. It's a number that could change what your last 10 working years actually look like. And right now, it's disguised as a treadmill, a bike, and a fridge full of expired condiments, sitting quietly in the dark, behind a door you barely think about. Before you feel attacked, this isn't a guilt trip. Nobody in this garage made one reckless decision. A treadmill in January feels responsible. A bike after a great weekend on the trails feels earned. A second fridge because the first one felt cramped feels practical. Nobody decides on purpose to torch $60,000 of future money. They decide at $400 at a time, years apart, and never once circle back to check if the bet actually paid off. Nobody's an idiot here. It's not recklessness. It's a missing follow-up question repeated for a decade. So the fix isn't willpower. It's one follow-up question asked on a schedule before just in case gets another free year to hide behind. Once a year, walk into that garage and ask, out loud if you have to, have I actually used this in the last 12 months? Not might I, not could I see myself, but have I? No more excuses, no more eventually. If the answer is no, here's exactly what to do about it in 3 steps. Step 1. Photograph it and spend 10 minutes finding out what it actually resells for right now, not what you paid. A real number kills sunk cost thinking faster than any vague feeling ever will. Step 2. Give yourself 30 days to list it or hand it to someone who will actually use it, a neighbor, Facebook Marketplace, or a garage sale. Step 3. If 30 days pass and it's still sitting there gathering dust, that's your answer. It's not maybe someday anymore. It's a choice you've now made twice. At least be honest that it's a choice. Let a neighbor rent your pressure washer for $50 the one day a year they need it, instead of you babysitting a $300 one that's never even left the box. Whatever the original plan was, the bike ride, the camping trip, the driveway that was finally going to get cleaned, either it already happened and gave you everything it was ever going to give you, or it never happened and it's not going to now. Either way, the object doesn't owe you anything else, and you don't owe it a permanent parking spot, gathering dust for another decade while you tell yourself it's practical.
The biggest financial mistake sitting in your garage isn't what you bought, it's what you're still quietly paying for every single month by refusing to let it go. If a small, forgettable number turning into six figures sounds familiar, that's because I already ran these exact numbers once before. Go watch This $300 Mistake Will Cost You $800,000 right after this one. It's the same math, just a different hiding spot.